guys, welcome to my newest video for today. For today's video I'm going to be doing movies I've been watching. This is the 9th installment of this series and this is going to cover everything that I've watched in September and October that wasn't at the movies, because I do that in a separate segment. So basically my viewing watching has been really uneven lately because I think a lot of that's to do with lockdown, because we were in lockdown for 2 months and I kind of got a bit bored watching movies, to be honest. So I know normally I watch a lot of horror movies in October and I didn't get to nearly as many as I would have liked, so I'm not doing like a 31 days of horror type video this year. Hopefully next year I will be a bit more organised with that, but I just thought I would just stick to this video and just sort of go through the movies that I managed to watch. So the first one that I rewatched was the Peacemaker. I haven't seen this in quite a number of years. I really do like this one with George Clooney and Nicole Kidman. I thought they worked really well together, and it's sort of strange to think that they haven't really, I don't think they've done another movie since this one, so, and that was like in 97, but yeah, it was sort of an interesting action, like, political thriller, because it hasn't aged very well, like, some of the technology, and that's a bit dated. It does take a bit to get going. I found with the, like, intro was really long, but, I did overall like it, so, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I thought I was going to be ambitious in lockdown and rewatch all the James Bond movies, because in Australia, No Time to Die got pushed back till November, and that is next week. I got up to The Spy Who Loved Me. I really failed with the rewatch, so I've decided I'm not going to force myself to try and watch the rest of them, because I've just been in this weird, like, slump, and yeah, I just want to sort of try and get back into, like, enjoying, like, watching movies for the sake of not for the sake of watching them, but because I enjoy watching them, which, you know, is the whole point of movie watching. And yeah, and I think in the last little bit I've fallen into the habit of trying to watch as many as I can, and I don't have the attention span that I used to anymore, so yeah, so I did attempt to do a rewatch of the James Bond movies, and yeah, I got up to, I watched up to the last one I watched was The Man with the Golden Gun. It was nice revisiting these, like, older movies, because I haven't seen some of them in years, and I'd actually forgotten a lot of the plot, but yeah, I did enjoy making my way through the James Bond films that I did end up watching, so that was that. And then I also managed to watch a few Batman movies out of my 80th Batman box set, which is like a lot of the animated films. So I watched Batman Assault on Arkham and Batman Year One. I gave both of these 4 out of 5 stars. I hadn't seen either of them, but I really did like this one. And so I think, yeah, because it was Assault on Arkham, I sort of found funny sort of watching it, because I'm sure it was like right at the start, KGB Beast, I think that's his name, was a character, and like very, like, spoilers, very, very briefly, and I did kind of get a kick out of that, because I sort of have read some of the comics and events sort of relating to Nightwing and Robin, and yeah, sort of seeing what happened to him at the start of that film kind of, yeah, I guess I just found that amusing based on sort of what happens in the comic, like more recent comics, so, but that might have just been me. And the other one I did have to admit I found amusing was with Batman Year One, and Ben McKenzie, who played Gordon in Gotham, he voiced Batman in this movie, so that was actually kind of a bit of strange, like, to think that a few years before he did Gotham he was in another, like, Batman property, so yeah, so that was that one. Then I watched The Ninth Gate. I watched this one on Amazon Prime. I actually thought this was quite a decent psychological thriller. I really liked Johnny Depp in this one, even though it was a bit weird hearing him speak like with a British accent, so that took a bit of getting used to, but I did really like this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Game Night. This one's just one I find a lot of fun, and yeah, it's one of the better comedies to have come out in recent years. This one's just over the top, and it's a great action comedy, so that one. Then I rewatched Looper, again, a few years since I've last seen it. I actually find this one's a bit surprising, because when I first watched it, I think I overhyped it too much, because everyone was raving about this movie when it came out, and I went to see it, and it didn't click for me. But the more times I rewatch this one, the more times I actually, like, it does grow on me. So I think it's a different kind of sci-fi thriller, so like that. And then I rewatched Frozen 2 randomly, because I actually really liked the sequel, and yeah, I wanted to rewatch it one day, so I put it on. Then again on Amazon Prime, I watched The Spirit. So this is a movie I've sort of been intrigued about, and I know it hasn't gotten the best reviews. I can see why. I think they tried too hard to make this like a really edgy, like dark film, like akin to, say, Batman, which, because obviously this takes place in Central City, which is in the like the DC universe. I think they tried too hard. It was an interesting concept. I enjoyed parts of it, but overall I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I may watch it again one day, but I don't think it's a film I need to own in my collection or anything like that. So yeah, I did watch The Spirit. Then I rewatched Men in Black International randomly. I enjoyed this one. I know it didn't get the best reviews, and it's probably not gonna get a sequel, but I really did enjoy Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson as the main characters. It was just a lot of fun. So and then a movie that I've been wanting to watch for years, and I actually found it on Amazon Prime. In September I watched a lot of movies that were on Amazon Prime. I watched Repo the Genetic Opera. This was interesting because I knew the basic premise, and I knew Anthony Head from Buffy was in it, and yeah, it was interesting watching him play such a sadistic character, because it was yeah, it was very amusing and gory and yeah, over the top, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So that one. And then I watched Hollywoodland, which I remember someone talking about. I think someone mentioned the film, or they had bought the DVD or something, and the concept intrigued me. So this is about George Reeves, who played the TV like Superman in the 1950s, and it was sort of about, I guess, his rise to like star status, and then his eventual decline and ultimate death, and then it's sort of like they're trying to piece together like what actually happened. So I did think this was like a interesting look into like Hollywood, and sort of, you know, how one minute you can have everything and then the next it's nothing. So it was a really yeah, interesting movie. I did like Ben Affleck in this one a lot, so I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. Then I watched The Deep, which was one of the films I bought recently, and this was interesting because I wasn't quite what I was expecting. Like, I think they were trying to make this sound, because it came out a few years after Jaws, and I think they were trying to capitalize on the whole, you know, you don't know what's lurking under the waters type thing, and so it's ultimately about treasure hunting, and yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it, but well, except for one scene which was really, really awkward to watch, because and kind of out of the left field, because there's like this voodoo rape scene like randomly in the film, and that was really uncomfortable. So yeah, so that scene I could have done without, but overall it was a good film, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then on Disney Plus, I changed it up with watching a film on one of my other subscription services, and I watched Volcano, which I had never seen before, and I really enjoyed this movie. I have seen Dante's Peak, which I think they came out around the same time, so but I think Dante's Peak did a bit better at the box office, if I'm not mistaken. But I think out of the two, I preferred Volcano. Like, this was just sort of like, yeah, it's, you know, a 90s disaster film, but I really enjoyed this one. Really like Tommy Lee Jones in this, and yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was just sort of one of those ones where you had to see how are they going to solve this problem. Like, it's I think they paced the tension out really well, and it was just, yeah, you cared about the characters, and I really enjoyed this movie. So That one, and then I rewatched Personal Shopper, which I actually think is a bit of an underrated film with Kristen Stewart. She does a really good job in this one, and yeah, I know people give her flack for, like, because I know she's still got that Twilight stigma, but she is a really good actress when she has the right material, and this one I feel like really underrated, and it's sort of like, it's like a slow burn, I guess thriller type film, and yeah, I really like this one a lot, so that was 4 out of 5 stars. And then I finally got to see Free Guy, which actually really surprised me by how much I ended up enjoying it, because the trailers made it look like, oh yeah, it's like this pretty generic action film, and it had a lot of heart, which I was kind of not expecting, and you sort of do care about these characters and you really want them to succeed, so yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was really surprised me. And then I rewatched Black Widow because I recently picked that one up as well, so I wanted to rewatch it, and yeah, just as much fun as when I saw it at the cinema, so and I'm definitely looking forward to Hawkeye and seeing how Yelena fits in as well, so yeah, it should be really interesting. So that is everything I watched in September, and then going into October, it basically was filled with mostly horror movies. I didn't get to all the ones that I normally watch as well in October, but I did attempt to make a dent in it. So, of course, I rewatched The Nightmare Before Christmas. I start every October with this film. I love it. 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favourites. Then I rewatched Crawl, which I actually think is a pretty decent, like, creature type thriller. Give that one 4 out of 5 stars. As Above, So Below. Another one that I don't really hear about. It's sort of like a found footage, sort of exploring the catacombs of Paris, trying to find the Philosopher's Stone, and yeah, it's really eerie, spooky, and I really like this one, so 4 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Happy Death Day. I only rewatched the first one because that one is more of a traditional horror slasher. The other one is more sci-fi-ish, so I didn't rewatch the second one. I will rewatch it at some point, but I decided not to rewatch it with this one. But yeah, I really do like this one. It's sort of just a fun sort of Groundhog Day-esque movie, but obviously each time she gets killed, it like wakes up and has to restart the whole day, and I really do like her character growth in this movie. I think it's sort of one of those ones where she sort of starts off as this, you know, really shallow, dislikable character, and then by the end of it, like, she's sort of grown like as a person, so I do like that one. Then I rewatched Constantine, which I hadn't rewatched in ages, and it was weird seeing Keanu Reeves as the character, because I'm so used to Matt Ryan after he played the role in like Legends of Tomorrow and that, so but it was good fun revisiting it. But yeah, so I mean, not my favourite of the, like, I guess DC property films, but it was fun revisiting. So, and then I rewatched Clue, and yeah, I haven't seen this one in years, and forgot how fun this film actually is. It's got so many great lines, and yeah, 4.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, have to rewatch that one more often. And then I did that with a double bill with the Rocky Horror Picture Show, so I had a bit of a Tim Curry double bill night. So yeah, I love Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's a great musical, and yeah, it's again one of my staples to go to every October. Then I had a first time viewing, and that was Escape Room Tournament of Champions. I thought this was a pretty decent sequel, and yeah, like sort of where they sort of set up with the like where the franchise to go. I sort of like the whole idea that everyone else had done like this type of escape room, and then they had to get out of the new one, and yeah, I did sort of like seeing more from this world, like the mythology and that. I never got to Saw, so which I had planned to, and I'm still kind of intimidated by Saw, so I think this is like meant to be like a lighter take on the Saw films, but one day I will get to Saw, but I just have to sort of build up towards that. Then I rewatched The Fog, which I gave Escape Room Tournament of Champions 4 out of 5 stars. I rewatched The Fog, a really great sort of psychological like thriller type film. It's very short, but it sort of packs a lot of punch in this one, and I sort of like that it wasn't the traditional ending as well. Like, you didn't get everything all wrapped up in a neat little bow, and yeah, it's definitely one of my more recent favorites. I think I only watched it for the first time last year, so gave that one 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I watched Blackwater Abyss, which was a first time viewing, because I watched Blackwater well, it's not really a sequel as such. It sort of takes the same premise, and then it's like a new group of characters and stuff. So just like they end up in this place where there's a lot of crocodiles, and then the crocodiles start killing them. So yeah, and this time they're like trapped in this cave, and yeah, I liked it. It's 3.5 out of 5 stars. Very tropey, because it's sort of yeah, like when you have like these type of characters, it's like it was yeah, it had a lot of tropes that you like, sort of, where they're like, oh, the best friend's cheating on with a friend who's like engaged and stuff, and there was this whole plot, and I was like, oh, that's like very tropey like type thing. So and then obviously you have that big reveal where you're like, oh yeah, I slept with your boyfriend / fiance. So apparently that's the staple with these type of movies, because I think I don't know if I watched someone a while back that was very similar, but it was okay. It's just, yeah, not the obviously greatest film. I gave that one 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street. The version I watched was the Angela Lansbury version from the 1980s. I love this adaptation. I love all the adaptations of Sweeney Todd, but I wanted to rewatch this one, so I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Then, for a first time viewing, I watched Cage Dive, which I believe is part of a franchise, but I don't think you necessarily have to have watched all the other ones to watch this one. And I will say I was very confused watching this at the start, because it started off with these like news broadcasts, and they had some very well-known Australian broadcasters like Chris Bath and Robert Avadia, I think is his name. They like probably some of our more famous newsreaders, and they had these like random cameos, and I'm like, wait, is this meant to be a true story? And then I was like, oh, it's meant to be presented as a true story. So I was like, oh, okay, so they got them to do the like the news footage type thing. But yeah, it was sort of interesting seeing that, and yeah, it kind of confused me for a second, but it was okay. I thought it was like a different type of shark attack film. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Not like one of my absolute favourites, but it's not the worst one I've seen. So then I rewatched Little Shop of Horrors from 1986. I love this musical. 5 out of 5 stars. It's one I can rewatch. Like, it's one I like have to rewatch every October. So that one, and I always watch the director's cut, because I love the finale for that one. It's, even though I started with the theatrical, but director's cut all the ways for me. So then I rewatched The Evil Dead, and I also watched The Evil Dead 2. I tend to watch the first one more than the sequel, and I had hoped to actually get to Army of Darkness, but I never did. As I said, I've just been in this weird movie slump, and so I've just stuck with rewatching the first two. I think I prefer the first one to the second one, but I do eventually want to watch Army of Darkness, and then maybe try the like the reboot remake. I'm not sure like how gory that's meant to be, but it's because I'm sort of slowly building up my tolerance for it. So, but yeah, I did watch the first two Evil Dead films. Then I watched Silent House, which with Elizabeth Olsen, and I'm glad I actually watched this on Stan, because it was one of these ones where I wanted to have this big surprising payoff, and there was no substance leading up to it. Like, it sort of comes out of the left field about why she's having all these I guess psychological terrors, and yeah, I did like Elizabeth Olsen in this, but the payoff just wasn't like there. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Probably not in a hurry to like really ever rewatch that one. So I watched it. It was fine, but that's then Then the most random one I watched was Diana the Musical. I mean, you all knew I was probably going to check this out because it's a musical. I tend to check them out. And this was one of the most cheesiest things I've ever watched, and I kind of loved it. It was, yes, it was over the top and really unnecessary, and at the same time, like, the songs were really catchy, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I had a really good time watching it, and I've had Pretty Dress on repeat on my Spotify playlist for, like, you know, ever since. So has that going for it. So I watched Diana the Musical. Then I rewatched the first Hellboy film. I was hoping to get to the other ones, but I was being really in a mood to rewatch Hellboy because one of these the role-playing games that I've gotten back into recently, and I brought back one of my characters, Liz, because I played her originally in the game, and yeah, it's sort of just like, it just sort of inspired a whole rewatch because I haven't seen it in forever. But I really do enjoy the Hellboy films, like the Ron Perlman ones, and yes, as much as, you know, I did, even though I didn't obviously get to it, I did enjoy the reboot theme, but I do love the Ron Perlman films, and I'm still really bitter that we'll never get a third one. So, but it was fun revisiting this first one. It was a lot funnier than what I remember it being too. There's some, like, really great one-liners in this film. So that one gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then on Halloween, I ended up watching 3 movies to finish off. So I rewatched The Shallows. I think one of the better shark attack movies to come out in recent years. I sort of love, like, sort of how this one's, like, a lot more remote. I really do like Blake Liveliness. So and yeah, by the end of it, you are sort of rooting for her character to survive. So it's not one of those ones where you're like, oh, I hope the shark eats the person. So yeah, so I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. I rewatched What We Do in the Shadows. One of my favourite movies. Like, I don't know if it'd be my top 10, but it would be probably my top 20. It's and also one of my favourite Taika Waititi films. I just love it. It's a great, like, sort of mockumentary and sort of take on the whole vampire genre. And then to finish off on October, I rewatched The Thin, which I like from 1982. So I did get to a couple of John Carpenter films. This one I still haven't seen. Prince of Darkness, which I do have, and I was going to watch it, but never got round to it. So one day I will. So, but yeah, it had been a few years since I've seen this one, and this is again a really, like, sort of great again like psychological horror slash, like, sci-fi horror slash type film, and there's a lot of disturbing imagery in this one, I will say, because I'd forgotten about some scenes, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, that scene happened. So but yeah, it's a really great film, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So, and again, it's sort of another one that doesn't end with a like traditional everything's wrapped up type film as well. I just recall that. So so yeah, so that is everything that I ended up watching in September and October. So I watched some first time viewings. I rewatched a lot of my favourite films because obviously seasonal favourites. But yeah, it's been all over the place, like, these past couple of years, and like, I used to be able to sit down and watch, like, you know, 6 movies no problem in one day, and now I find I can't really do that. So I mean, not even when I'm not working, it's just more like on days off and stuff, and then I have the time if I want to watch movies, and then I find I don't have the attention span. So there are, like, yeah, sort of like the days I think where I used to be able to watch like 30 odd films in a month aren't really there anymore. So oh well. But I do try and, like, I do still enjoy watching movies. It's just yeah, I don't watch as many as I used to. So but yeah, I'm gonna stop it here. So thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you guys next time.